All right, so let's look at this topology together, and then I'll publish this in a few minutes. All right, so if we're looking, if we look up here, how many WANs do we have? How many? Three. How many LANs do we have? 4 LANs, yep. And again, this is the one we talked about last week. Okay, we looked at this last week. So can LAN A talk to LAN B just as it is without any help? Nope. Okay. What can LAN A talk to? Router 1. Yeah, right, router 1. So if we look, so today what I want us to practice is really looking at and learning and trying to understand what the route table is telling us, okay? Show IP route. So I can see here what my directly connected networks are. 192.168.0.0/26. So I can see that this is directly connected. And I can also see what interface it's connected by, right? It's connected by G000. And then I can see what the link address is on that interface, right? And in that case, we know that that's functioning as the what? The default gateway for this LAN, right? For this LAN. Okay, now, if I'm on this router, okay, I can ping a couple things. So let's ping the directly connected link, 192.168.0.1. Can we make a prediction? Yep, that's going to be successful, right? Now, also, I can ping, let's ping this other one, ping 192.168.0.177, right? So from this router, I can see and I can ping what is directly connected. Okay, so from here, from this router, can I ping this interface? Can I ping 178? Okay, so let's ping that. Ping 192.168.0.178. Okay, I can ping that. Okay. Now, so I'm directly connected to this interface. Can I ping this interface? No. Even though the routers are connected, that's not directly connected. It's only directly connected to this interface. Okay? It's only directly connected to this interface. All right. So I'm going to publish this. And again, I'm going to ask you not to work ahead, because if you work ahead, you're probably going to miss something. All right? So we're going to be doing some pings, and it's asking you whether it works or doesn't work and why. And we've actually already talked a little bit about this. This says from PC0 ping PC1. Does it work? We already know that the answer is it fails. And why does it fail? Okay, what's a more, they're not on the same LAN, but that's not that's not the whole part of it. What's the part, as it relates to routing, why? They are not directly connected, right? So that's the terminology you want to start thinking about right now. You're right, they're not on the same LAN, they're not on the same network, but if that LAN was directly connected to this router, wouldn't that work? That would work. So that's why you can't just say it's not the same LAN. Because the truth is, I could move this off this router, then it would be directly connected and it would work. The reason it doesn't work is because it's not directly connected. So use the right terminology, okay? And then, let's see, ping test from RS010 to R0 to R1 S010. Did it work? Why? They are directly connected, okay? So again, what I want you to do, this is to copy and paste the show IP route commands, copy and paste, and then answer these questions and then stop. Okay? And everyone should get these right because we just went over it together. I don't want to see any wrong answers. When you're done with that first part, step 1, just raise your hand. Again, you're just putting some show commands in there for both devices so that you can compare them. And then you're answering those questions. What I want you to always be thinking about when you're writing routes is you want to always have your topology in front of you. If you just have your topology in front of you, life gets much easier. And then also use your route statements. Remember, a router can't send a packet someplace that it doesn't see, okay? It can't send a packet someplace that it can't see. So what we're going to be doing is this. This is telling us to create directly connected static routes. And if it's a directly connected, what kind of route is that? Ah! You're wrong. Thank you, David. Okay. A directly connect. Didn't we just review this? Okay. A direct. Are you all hungry? Is that what it is? Okay. A directly connected static route. It means it's directly connected. It's the exit interface. Okay. So we're going to write these directly connected exit interfaces, right? Use the directly connected interface. Everything needs to talk to each other. So we're going to do this together. So don't work ahead. So first of all, let's just start in one place. Okay, we're going to start over here. I want LAN A to be able to talk to everybody. All right, it needs to be able to talk to LAN B, LAN C, and LAN D. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to look at the route table. Okay, so pull up the route table on R0, which we had that up. Can R0 see a route to 192.168.0.64? Can it see a route there? No. It can't, right? So that means you have to give it those driving directions. You have to give it those directions. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So first of all, how do I start this route statement, this static route? How do I start it? IP route, right? IP route. And now, where are we trying to get to? What is the network address that we're trying to get to? 192.168.0.64. Exactly. So now let's enter that. IP route 192.168.0.64. And then what? 192. Okay. And what kind of a route are we writing? Exit interface. So I can look right here, right? And what exit interface would I take? S010. Now, if we think of this like the treasure hunt, if I go out, I'm just going to make it to the next one, right? Okay, so let's just enter this in there. So S010. Now, before you type it into the device, okay, before you type it in device, let's just think this through. So my packet gets up here, and now I've added the route. So we're going to see the route, right? And it's going to move it over here. And it's trying to get down here. Will this router see this network? Yes, because why? It is directly connected. See how we're giving it little clues. Okay, so let's just, that's all we're going to do right now. We're going to come into R0. Now you can even just copy and paste this because we wrote it the right way, or you can retype it in. What mode do I have to be in? Okay. It's giving us a little message. It's just telling us that, we don't have a default route. That's no big deal. We'll fix that later. Okay, now again, just stop and do a show IP route. Okay, let's do a show IP route. I want you to, every time you enter a command today, I want you to verify that command. Get in the habit of practicing checking your work. This is what will save you the most time and really prevent you from needing to troubleshoot. Like, we want to get our networks in as close to accurate as possible so there isn't troubleshooting to do, right? Okay, so on R0, we wrote a route to get to LAN B. So do I see it? So let's say the packet gets up there. It's looking for 192.168.0.64.26. Hey, there's a route. And it is directly connected to S010. So my packet is going to take a little jog, right? And it's trying to get to 192.168.0.64. So now I want you to look at R1's route table. Okay, so now look at R1's route table.
I think mine isn't working, I think.
Yeah, the default route, that's not an error. Okay, so remember, we went up here. We told it to go out S010, so it's now made it here. It's trying to get to 192.168.0.64. So now let's just look at this route table on R1. Do you see a path to 192.168.0.64?
Yes.
Yeah, and what kind of route is it? It's directly connected. So it's going to be able to find its way down there. So you see how we're giving it some clues along the way. Yes.
So when we copied this first, this MIP route it didn't change from before.
It hasn't changed yet because we haven't done anything to it. We haven't done anything to R1, right? We haven't added any information on R1 yet. Yes? Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you a question. Okay? The answer to this question will determine, I don't know what it'll determine. Okay. No, we're not taking a break. Okay, so what we're going to do, don't do it, but if I ping from here over to PC1, now that we've got that route in there, is the ping going to work?
Yes.
Go ahead and ping it and tell me what happens. Ping it and tell me what happens. So ping from PC0, because remember, we want all the LANs to talk. So we added a route. So from PC0, ping to PC1. I think the PC addresses are the second address, if I remember correctly. So, what's the verdict? No? What'd you get, Blake? No? No, Emmy? No? Why isn't this working?
Because you haven't done the same thing on the router.
Yeah. So
it's going, but it's not going back, so it's failing.
right. Okay, so listen to this. What you send out needs a way to come back. So watch. So we did the ping, and we checked. We saw all the routes, right? Now you should still have this route table up on R1. Does everybody still have the route table up for R1? So PC1 receives the ping, and it wants to talk back. It wants to answer. So it's going to send a ping back. It's going to send a reply, an echo reply. Now, what network is it trying to get to? 0.0. Okay, look at its route table. Do you see a route for 192.168.0.0? So even though it wants to talk, It can get to here, but then what happens? It drops it. It drops it. So how do I fix this? Right. So now, okay, don't do anything. Just watch me for a minute. So go to R1. Okay, we're going to go to R1. And now I need to add a route so that it can get back. Okay, so again, just think this through. I'm here. Where am I trying to get? What's the destination network? Okay, so we're going to put the destination network 255, 255, 255, 192. Look at your topology. What interface does it need to drive out of? 010. Okay, S010. So, are we happy with the way that looks? All right, so let's go ahead and grab it. And you're going to put it on R1. Now, before you ping, what are you going to do? Show IP route. Make sure that what you think you just did, you actually did. So let's see. All right, 192.168 is directly connected. I'm happy. Now let's try that ping again. Is it going to work now? Yes. It's going to work now. Marco Polo. Marco Polo, right? Why does the first ping time out? No. Thank you, Nick. ARP request. Has to do an ARP request. Paul, you're like 0 for 3 tonight. Okay. All right, so now I want to talk about, don't move on, I want to talk about a couple things before you move on, okay? So there's a couple different ways to approach putting these static routes in, okay? First of all, we're only doing directly connected static routes, so we're only writing exit interface static routes. Now, I see people do this in different ways. I'm going to tell you how I do it, and you can try it both ways. I'll tell you the other way, okay? I like to just take one at a time. So I am looking at this network, LAN A, and I need it to talk to LAN B, I need it to talk to LAN C, and I need it to talk to LAN D. Okay, what I like to do is just get those handled. Okay, now the disadvantage of that is I won't be able to test them right away, because I'm not going to go and do this one, then do this one, do this one, then do this one, do this one. That, like, I don't like to work back and forth. But some people, like what we just did, like to do that. I'm going to set it here, then I'm going to set it here. I can test my ping right away. I'm going to set it here, then I'm going to come over and set it on R2. I can test my ping right away. It's just a difference of preference, okay? I tend to get lost when I do that. I am much better at just handling a device, checking my work, handling the next device, checking my work, handling the next device, checking my work. When I have them in, then I test my pings. Again, there's an advantage to both ways. Some people prefer to get, do one, then the other, test it, one, then the other, and do the test it. So let's just do this first one the way I like to do it, okay? So on R0, I've already done one of them, right? I'm on R0. I've already got to this guy. Now I need to get here. So what's the next route that I'm going to have to do? IP route 192.168. 0128, 224, exit interface. Okay, and then I got to do, so now I've got a route to LAN B, I've got a route to LAN C. Let's get a route to LAN D. Yes.
For the exit interface, you put the exit interface of the router you are at.
Always the router that I'm at, right? Everything is from the perspective that you are the router. Okay, you are the router. So what's my next one? You're redeemed.
You were 2.5 or 2, Paul?
Yeah.
You weren't sure.
Okay. So again, just stop, right? So I've got this one in. I already added it. I'm going to add this one, and I'm going to add this one. Now, what do I know that once I add them, are those pings going to work yet? No. But what am I going to do? Do show IP route, and I'm going to check my work. How many routes, static routes, would I see in my route table? Tres, right? Okay. So let's go in here. And I'm going to grab them. You can type them in if you want to type them in. I feel pretty confident with mine.
Not Paul, though. You need to stay on the.
Okay, so once you've added your routes, just stop and raise your hand so I know that we have our 3 routes added, right? And count them up, 1, 2, 3. Make sure you see 3 routes. See, I hope that all of this just drives home the importance of your topology as well. This is why I want you to have like a perfect topology for your skills exam. You want to have this handy in front of you, like what you just showed me. Can you imagine trying to memorize that and just do it on the fly? Like, oh, I think that's the 57th router. He showed me a big giant topology. That's on the 57th router. I'm just going to create a quick static route to the 57th router. I mean, it's, yeah, like we're doing really small, easy stuff, right? Okay. So everybody got that in there? Okay, so now I'm going to check my work because that prevents problems. Slow is fast. I'm taking care of my future self. So I need to see 168.0.64. Is it the right exit interface? Check your exit interfaces, okay? And this is going to become more important, and I'm going to show you why. So I've got that one. Check 192.168.0.128. Is it the right subnet mask? Make sure you've got the right subnet mask. Is it the right exit interface? Yes, it is. 192.168.160. Okay, 28 is yes. Okay, I'm good to go. All right, good to go. Now I'm going to move on to my next router. Now we got to be a little careful here. I have a tendency to copy and paste stuff because I find it super easy. However, you got to think clearly if you do this. I'm going to show you, right? If I were to just copy and paste, I'm going to have to change some numbers. I've got to change some interfaces because now, if I'm here, this is an exit interface to these 2 routes. This is the exit interface to this route. So you've got to watch these exit interfaces. It's very common for people to just make a mistake because they're copying and pasting or because they're just typing and they're not paying attention, that we're going different directions now. Okay, we're going different directions. So when I go to this one, I'm going out S010, but when I'm going to LAN C and D, what am I going out? 11. Okay, so let's write our routes. We've already got the first one in. So IP route, if I need to get to LAN C, I use Scallywag. And change it, see? It's that little thing. If you don't change it, what happens? You're dead in the water. Packet doesn't go anywhere. So then I got this one. It's just like driving directions. We got to give the router the directions. Okay, so when you've got your 3 routes, remember we already entered one of them. So we needed to be able to talk back and forth. Okay, so let's put our other 2 in. And what are you going to do next? Show IP route. How many routes should I see? 3. Okay, and then I want you to check every one of them. Save yourself time by looking now so that you don't have to fix something later, because when you got to fix something later, it takes a lot of time. So 192.168.0026, there it is. I've got to go out 010, that looks right. Okay, I got to go to 192.168.0128. I've got the right subnet mask, and I've got to go out S011, that looks right. I got to go to 192.168.0160, there it is. I've got to go out S011, that looks right. Check your work. It's really important that you check your work because we're not building them all out at once to do our pings. Okay. Now, before you go on, I want to ask you a question. Okay. So before we go on, I want to ask a question. So if I'm going to ask it later. Let's keep going. Just thought of it. It'll make more sense if I ask it later. Okay, what do we have to do next? We have to do R2, right? And so how many networks are going to be going out S011? 2. How many will go out S010? 1. Okay, so if I'm right here, I want PC2 to be able to talk to LAN A. What's the destination? And what interface do I go out of from R2? S011. Okay, think of it just like driving directions. Yeah, but there's no such thing as a 255.255.114. I've never heard of a
Right,
subnet
there
mask
is
like that.
114. I just have this one. Yeah. So I'll just have to fix this one, but that's how it should be as
Yeah.
a network.
Mhm.
Okay, I was like, kind of wondering like
Yeah. Okay, you got them over here? Okay, so now at this point, some of our pings will work, right? Because we've got a route from here to here, and we added a route from here back this direction, right? So my question to you is, all we're doing is putting the destination devices, right? The destination networks. So from PC2, let's go ahead and ping PC0. Let's make sure it works. You should have checked your route statement. Let's also just check our ping. Should work. Does it work? Okay. So a mistake that I see people make is sometimes on this router, I want it to talk to LAN B, so I added that network, right? And I want it to talk to LAN A, so I added that network. Well, isn't this serial network a remote network? Why don't I need to add that?
What was your question, Ms. Andrew?
Okay. Paul, go do a show IP interface brief on R1. Show IP interface brief on R1. Back to 140. I'm playing with you. Show IP interface brief on R1. And do those serial interfaces have an IP address?
They do.
Okay. Every interface on a router has to have an IP address.
That's true. And
It-
they're directly connected.
It doesn't matter if it's a serial interface, a gig. I mean, can routing work if you don't have IP addresses set? So, Paul, I think you're just confused. Okay? Because I know you know that, okay? Your routing doesn't even work if you don't have IP addresses. Okay, so let's ask the question again. Paul, don't answer. Okay. So the question was, ready? So let's just listen. So right here, this is a remote network. It's not directly connected, so I added a route statement. Do we agree? A static route. Okay. If I want PC2 to talk to PC0, this is a remote network, so I had to add a static route. Do we agree?
Yes.
Okay. From PC2, is this serial network a remote network?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, it is. It's remote, it's not directly connected. But we did not need to add that in to our static routing statement. We didn't need to add a static route for it. Correct? We did not do that.
Yeah, we only added the LAN A network. because
Right, we added LAN A and we added LAN B. Okay, so why?
Because it's already part of its routing table.
Right, it's already part of the routing table. They were learned directly connected. So remember, all we have to do is get it to the next router. And then that router looks at its own route table. Okay, so if I get this guy up, and I'm trying to talk to PC0, think of it just like a map and a treasure hunt, okay? So I get up here, and I'm trying to get to 192.168.0.0. So look at the route table on R2. Everyone look at your route table on R2.
Excuse
Okay, so remember, I'm on R2 and I'm trying to get to LAN A. So do I see a route to 192.168.0.0?
Yes.
I do, right? And what does it say? It says go out serial 011. So I go out serial 011. Now do a show IP route on R1. And where am I trying to go? Okay.
010.
Right? So do I see a route for 0.0? I do. And what does it say? Go out 010. So again, that's that whole treasure map thing, right? It moves it from one and then it looks again, and then it moves it to the next one and then it looks again. Okay, so I have a route. Remember, we're trying to get to PC0, and it says, oh, I go out 010. So I'm going to go out 010 to the next router. Now look at this router. Look at R0. So look at the route on R0. And does it have a route to 192.168.0.0? And what kind of route is that? Directly connected. And it says just go out G000. So it's just a treasure hunt, right? It's just, so you don't need to include the remote serial interfaces as long as your route statements are correct. You just have to get it to the next router. And then that router looks as its own route table. Got it? Okay, so we've got one left, right? We didn't do this one yet. Okay, now for this one, right, this one's going to be a little bit easier because what's the exit interface to get to A, B, and C? S010. Remember to check your work when you're done. How many routes should you see? How many static routes? 3. Okay. So again, you just, where are you at? Where do you want to go? And what driveway do you go out of? What's the exit interface? There's an example right here, and then also it writes that out. Where are you at and where do you want to go? And then start checking your pings. You want to make sure everything pings. Everything should be successful. If you have something that doesn't pass through, go check your route table. I don't think that class activity will give you 100%. As long as you have all the green check marks, you're good. And as long as everything is talking. No, of the assessment items. Yeah, so just come in here, check results, assessment items, right? Make sure you have all green check marks because that means everything's working. And your score should be 20 out of 20. Again, I don't think it gets you to 100%. So everybody know how to do a snip of their assessment items? I just do a snip. And just paste it in there. So as long as you're methodical, your static routes will work. Yes.
This pink didn't work for me.
Okay, so did you check your routes? Did you get them all entered?
Yeah.
Well, something's missing. Close that so that I can see your topology.
Oh, okay.
So let's look at this. Do a show IP route. So 0, 64, 128. Okay, so then come over here. Look at that one. Do a show IP route. One, two. So see a problem right there? How many routes do you have? How many static routes?
2.
2. How many do you need?
1.
So close that. R2 is right there. You need a route to this network, you need a route to this network, and you need a route to this network. All of these should have 3 static routes. So you have to go check your work. So again, all your pings should be successful. Now, if you didn't already, notice here this says to copy and paste the show IP route static command. So let's just do that because I want you to see that. So, okay, so let's go to R0. Okay, this makes it easy to check your static routes, okay? And then, because then it takes out your directly connected routes. So this is asking you to also paste your show IP route static in your Word document.
If I close this, should I just enter them again?
Show IP route static.
I'll think of something else.
So on assignments, if it asks specifically for show IP route static, give me the show IP route static. All right, so what you're uploading is you're uploading the saved packet tracer that's completed, the Word document, and you should have a screenshot of your score, the assessment items down there in this box. You can also upload that screenshot, whichever, but it's easy for me, then I have less to open.